I met him at Mojo Coffee Gallery in Northeast Minneapolis. I've seen him a few times there. We talked a little bit. I like what he's saying. Usually have insightful things to say. This time I met him has a T-shirt written on it in Arabic, Hayat Sud Muhimma, Black Lives Matter. So introduced himself, and I asked him, what is your story? And then he has a story
Hey,
to
my
tell.
name is Richard Jacabs. Richard Herman Joseph Jacabs. Born to parents who came, whose, who, my grandparents came from Germany, and they grew up in German village in Columbus, Ohio. They spoke German, they wrote German. And as I look back on my history of my family, my parents were devout Catholic, and especially my dad. And they were very kind, loving people. 11 kids. I got 9 brothers, 2 sisters. One passed away recently, and we had a lot of fun growing up. But as I look back on my life and the life of my family, the thing that really moved me lately is how, through the German experience, how humanity can be incredibly vicious and violent and horrific. It's just incredible. I've been watching movies from the Holocaust, the 12 years that the Nazis were in power, and it's so horrific, way beyond anything I ever dreamed of. And that's kind of what I've been doing lately, is looking back. Yesterday was my 80th birthday. I made that goal. I'm in really good shape for my age, and I'm trying to maintain that. So, in short, I'd like to say that life is wonderful, but it has a downside that we must all be careful of, because fascism is alive in this country, and the young ones, are going to have to deal with it. I'd say 30% of the people are ready to follow a fascist leader.
I know you've been following what's going on in Gaza in the last 9 months or so. You've been very active and very.
I've been following Gaza since about 1998 or 9.
Do you think what happened in October 7 in the last 9 months, any different? Any change in the narrative a little bit?
The narrative is changing. People are beginning to realize there's a split in Judaism, that Zionism is not Judaism. It's a colonial movement from Europe and the United States, which in its heart is ethnic cleansing, a murderous ethnic cleansing that has become really apparent to everybody. Before October 6th, the average person had no idea of what most people still don't know what Zionism is. And it's a movement that started in 1875 or 80 in Europe, and Jews were persecuted in Europe, weren't allowed to own land. They were persecuted, and it's understandable that they would try something, anything. But what they've tried is really, they're becoming what happened to them. They're like the child who gets beat by his parents, and when he grows up, that's what he does. He beats his kids, and this is how I see the whole thing. That the U.S. is using the Jews to control the Middle East because they fear the Arabs. That's who their real fear is. They fear the Arabs taking over the oil and 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 monopolizing the area, and they're afraid of socialism. There were socialist movements.
National movement.
Yeah, national movements and socialist movements. The left were driven out of Iraq, and Saddam Hussein was put in power by the U.S., okay, until he decided he wanted to kind of resist the U.S., and then they thought, oh, no, this is a bad guy, so we got to get him out. So, no, this...
Same in Iran. And
yeah, same thing in Iran and Afghanistan and all over the place. The American people, I've been in both the working class and the petty bourgeoisie. You know, I had my own business, but I also worked in a factory for 8 years. So I know pretty well the groups. And most Americans are deeply involved in
surviving.
Yes, yeah, right. We're all involved in trying to make things better for our children, better education. So we're working hard. We're working overtime. We do all that. There's no place for political discussion. If you go to your church, you're not going to find it at all. Mostly charlatans running the show. So, you know, you have to go out of your way to really dig into it. You have to be able to read a book every once in a while. You can't just watch TV all day, or when you're in sports. You know, we all get sucked into sports in ways that, yes, the entertainment. Frank Zappa said war was the entertainment. What do you say? Politics was the entertainment for the military-industrial complex. And so the military-industrial complex, which I worked for at one point, okay?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for my service. No. Okay. Their whole thing is they want to see a war anywhere they can, you know, and so they're very quick. In fact, I think they run the show. They run the show on both political parties. I mean, we don't have a lesser of two evils. We have two evils, okay? One's more fascist, one's more imperialist, okay?
Explain the...
Yes. Pardon?
Explain the difference.
Well, fascism is when the corporations take control, like the military-industrial complex, to get everything they can get, to get all the tax breaks they can get, to make as much money as they can get, okay? Mm-hmm. And, yeah, it trickles down, but it mostly stays at the top, all right? That's fascism. And they don't like...
One narrative.
Yes, one narrative. You shut your mouth, go back home, no demonstrations, you know. Imperialism is what they thank us for when we go to war, is for the empire to expand. Good example is Cargill right here in Minneapolis. They're the largest corporation that deals in grain and livestock in the world. They're in 175 or 80 countries. Okay, that's who you're fighting for. That's the freedom you're fighting. You're fighting for the freedom for Cargill to exploit. It's not your freedom. There's nobody out there that's going to come over to Long Island or San Francisco and attack you. They got sampans, you know. They got these little boats. They can't get over. They don't have the big navies. All right. So that's what the problem is. And the capitalism that we have here, which is a very revolutionary social system, a lot better than slavery and feudalism, expands in all directions and goes everywhere. But then it becomes its opposite, which is fascistic. And that's what we're beginning to see, in my opinion. We got about 30% of the people, hardcore, who want that strong man. And You
There
can't.
are over 300 million people, and the choice in November now is between a war criminal, a genocidal Jew, the people say,
Yeah.
and a criminal.
Yes. Yeah.
So, how could a democratic system with all this
Well, it's
knowledge only produce those two options?
well. Let's take a look at the terms. Democratic system. Well, democracy has a class aspect to it. There's a there's a working class democracy where all the working people have the same amount of influence. Okay. Then there's the bourgeois democracy where the rich can pay the politicians to do what they want. Now we have a bourgeois democracy. So it's not a democracy for the working class. They make you think it does, because you can go vote for 2 minutes. You can vote. Doesn't change a freaking thing.
You put the sticker on.
You can put your sticker on there. I put the sticker on my car where I have a dent. Okay.
Now you make it useful.
Yeah, I make the sticker useful.
Yeah.
Okay, but I believe that it's not your voting that's counting now. It's getting into social political movements that will challenge the narrative that's going on, and it's everything that will save us.
Uh,
And it saved the Brazilians. The
lived
Brazilians.
in Brazil.
I lived in Brazil for almost 4 years.
Okay.
I was in the Peace Corps to get out of the draft. So I got to get familiar with the Brazilians. Well, the U.S. put in a dictator because they were afraid of somebody who was a little bit leftist. Who all he wanted to do was what FDR did back in the 30s, which is roads and bridges and infrastructure and put people to work. That's that's all they want to do in South America, by the way, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of national movements in South
Yep.
America.
Yep. Yep. All right. So when they put the dictatorship in, you could not strike. You could not demonstrate. And that went on for 21 years until the workers could not afford to pay to feed their families for the week in the big auto and truck factories in Sao Paulo, a town of 20 million people. They went on a wildcat strike. In other words, the union did not support them. The workers organized in the bathrooms quietly, and they went on strike, and everybody put down their tools. And it spread throughout the whole region. It was like a whole region of Sao Paulo where the factories were. And they ended up bringing down the dictatorship. Okay? And this is the only thing that, the laboring people are the only ones who can stop it and will stop it.
A little bit, I know every time I see you, you have a different
Yeah. Mexico.
cause.
I gotta.
Okay, tell us about, let's start with the hat.
Well, I love this hat. Mexico. It says Durango on my hat. The U.S. stole huge amounts of land from Mexico, all the way up into Colorado, all through California. That was through the Mexican War. And I keep that in mind.
Can you show us the hat?
Pardon?
Show us the hat.
Right here.
T-shirt.
And the T-shirt, well, this is supposed to say Brown Lives Matter. I think.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. It's in Arabic.
Can you stand up for a second? Okay. That's good enough.
Yeah.
Hayat Sud Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he get that?
Where did I get this?
T-shirt.
I don't remember.
Really?
I don't remember where I got it. It's hard to say where I got this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of political T-shirts. I'm in Minneapolis, where politics is, you won't find it in any other per capita Midwest city. Okay, when Chicago has 500 people demonstrate, we'll get 800.
Richard Jacabs at Mojo Coffee Gallery in Northeast. We chatted, we talked, and he told his story. And at the end, he invited me to his house to see some of his art, his life, and that was another story to tell. Please subscribe, and if you want to support me, go to my site ahmediatv.com and donate. That would be great. Subscribe, shares, keep the conversation going, and we'll see you the next story.